Welcome to another podcast of Ashley and the Beer Cave. I hope everyone had or is having a good week or weekend. Been a lot of breaking news this week on several different events across the country. I'm sure you've heard or you are aware of it. From mass shootings across the country to a guilty verdict in a very high profile case. I'm not sure why mass shootings are all the rage right now, but the shooters seem to be taking the easy way out by suicide. Narcissistic cowards, if you want to ask my opinion. Now, I looked up narcissist. It's a disorder in which a person has an inflated sense of self-importance. Narcissistic personality disorder is found more commonly in men. The cause is unknown, but likely involves a combination of genetic and environmental factors. Symptoms include an excessive need for admiration, disregard for others' feelings, an inability to handle any criticism, and a sense of entitlement. The disorder needs to be diagnosed by a professional, and treatment involves talk therapy. There you have it. It's my opinion, and not one of anybody in any medical profession, and that was a Google search of it. Anyway, on to other things. If you're watching this on YouTube, you're getting the full video of it, and you can also listen anytime on Spotify. And if you're listening on Spotify, you can go catch it, the video portion of it on YouTube. Just Google Ashley and the Beer Cave and give it a thumbs up and subscribe. I would definitely appreciate it. So the people on the YouTube side are noticing that I am drinking a cup of coffee, and Spotify, you'll just have to take my word for it. It's pretty good stuff right there. Now, today's topic, I've been thinking about for a while. And then sometimes current events and news stories get top billing, so it may be kind of strange or a coincidence that I'm even going to talk about it today. So here we go, on with the podcast today. When the COVID pandemic was well underway, more was learned about it. We all adhered to a 6-foot rule, hand washing, mask mandates, and all the other hygienic things we need to follow. Then states and public places started to open up, limited as it was in the beginning. I noticed we became a more polite society, showing more common courtesy while in public, generally speaking. We were showing respect for others. We were saying please, thank you, excuse me. We were apologizing for getting within the 6-foot zone. Instead of a handshake or a hug, we were doing knuckle bumps or elbow bumps. Now, I did another Google search of common courtesy, and 10 things made a list. I'm not going to go through all the mismanners list, but we'll highlight a few of them and make some of it current for the times that we live in. While in a Zoom meeting, don't interrupt. If you must interrupt, say, excuse me, I'm sorry to interrupt, but when refusing an invitation, just be kind. When refusing a Zoom information or invitation, just don't click the link. Good table manners. Always a good idea on a Zoom meeting. If you need to eat in a Zoom meeting, you don't have to put a napkin in your lap or keep your elbows off the table. You should, however, chew with your mouth closed and never speak with food. No need to use your fingers unless it's a finger food. Please do not, or use a napkin and not your shirt, and you never lick your fingers. The last thing on that list was respect your elders. Always be polite to the elders or elder adults. Treat them with respect. Go out of your way to help an elderly person, like holding doors. Consider having a conversation with them. You may learn something. It may put a smile on their face. As we all know, COVID has hit the elderly very, very hard, and they have always enjoyed one-on-one with visits with family and friends. Through a glass window at a nursing home or at their front door is just not the same. Now, a few things I think need to be added to the list. I've come up with 2. One of them is car radios, the volume. Hey, I like music. and the music I listen to may not be to your liking. Sometimes I do like it at a higher volume, but when I roll up to a stop in traffic and my windows or my top is down, then down goes the volume. I'm sure you don't want to hear my tunes just as much as I don't want to hear how your woman is a female canine and needs to be put down with a cap in her for doing you wrong. Can we all? So I just don't understand that lyrics like that at all. And what's about this pant thing? Dudes, I did a Google search on this. It's called sagging. This is from Menswear Style on a Google search. Trends by their nature can be ridiculous. However, a few of them are quite as ridiculous as the practice of wearing one's pants around one's ass with boxer shorts on a full display. To those in the know, this is called sagging. A male fashion trend has dipped in and out of popularity since the 1990s and was first popularized in a hip-hop and skate culture. But how did something as stupid as this make it all the way to the mainstream? Well, there's plenty of rumors on the subject. One of the most widely repeated stories proposes that the American prison system, sagging pants were a sign of sexual availability, and that this is where the trend first originated. Another rumor is that gang members in the States took to wearing their jeans this way as it made it easier for them to conceal weapons. However, both of these theories are untrue. The real origins of the sagging fad did not come from the American prison system. It did come from the American prison system, but not as a signal that there was up for a bit of action. The actual fact is, prisoners were often given uniforms that were several sizes too big for them, and due to suicide prevention efforts behind bars, they were not allowed belts. This combination of factors led inmates' trousers riding at half-mast most of the time. As prisoners were released, they continued to wear their trousers sagging, and it wasn't long before it creeped into the hip-hop dress code. A lot of local governments have tried to ban it and put in rules and regulations about it, but it never took place. Tell a young man not to do something, and he's going to do the opposite. Barack Obama even mentioned in 2008 calling the implementation of such laws a waste of time, but going on to say, having said that, brothers pull their pants up. You're walking by your mother, your grandmother, and your underwear is showing. What's wrong with that? Come on. Some people might not want to see your underwear, and I'm one of them. And I am too. Back in 2010, Justin Bieber, whatever you want to pronounce his name, brought the fad back with skinny jeans. Unfortunately, it caught on with followers. It can be still seen. Like even trendy though, while it might seem like a good idea at the time, everyone might be doing it. Ultimately, by taking part, you're just setting yourself up for a load of photos, which will be difficult to look at in a few years. Here you go, sagging pants. Now, I found some other funny stuff. I'm going to call this not the brightest crayon in the box. Funny, weird news stories. 2 men arrested in Santa Rosa County, Florida, right down the road from where I'm at, after law enforcement officers said they found illegal drugs in a bag labeled "bag full of drugs." The men were pulled over by a state trooper for allegedly speeding 25 miles over the limit. Santa Rosa County Sheriff's K-9 deputies recently assisted the Florida Highway Patrol on a traffic stop along I-10 where a large amount of narcotics was discovered. Note to self, do not traffic your illegal drugs in a bag called or labeled "bags full of drugs." A Facebook post said, "Our canines can read." A game warden in Texas stopped a pair of men fishing without valid fishing licenses. One of the men didn't have proper identification at all. According to the Houston Chronicle, the man without the ID ID knew he had active warrants for his arrest, and in an effort to deceive the law enforcement officer, gave the warden the name of a friend. As it happens, the man whose name was given to the warden also had warrants for his arrest. So despite his attempt to dupe the warden, the man was taken into custody anyway. And while being booked into the jail under the false name, the man admitted to his lie and booked under his real name with the additional charge of lying to a police officer. Alrighty. A Florida couple arrested for DUI reportedly attempted to have sexual intercourse in the back of a patrol vehicle about to transport them to jail. According to People magazine, officials said the couple, identified as a 35-year-old Megan Mondero and a 31-year-old Seth Thomas, were seen attempting to disrobe in the back of a Nassau County Sheriff's Office squad car. They had been riding bicycles at night without running lights and were reportedly came in really close contact with a motorist when a deputy spotted and stopped them. Mondero was charged with DUI, exposing sex organs, unnatural and lascivious acts, and resisting without violence. Thomas was charged with threat against a public official, unnatural and lascivious act, exposing sex organs, and a DUI. Both Thomas and Mondero reportedly have lengthy criminal records. And since they're not married, I'm going to assume they couldn't have conjugal visits, so they thought they'd have one last fling at it, and that's just my speculation. In New York, a man was arrested after allegedly trying to pull over a van full of police detectives. According to a Fox News, the man, identified as a 25-year-old Portlock, reportedly activated an emergency light and sounded an air horn as he attempted to pull the van over in Long Island town of Hicksville. When the occupants of the van, the members of the Nassau County Police Department Electronic Squad, identified themselves, Portlock reportedly fled the scene. He was later arrested by the Highway Patrol and charged with criminal impersonation, reckless endangerment, and fleeing. Always know who you're going to pull over first. And last but not least, a Bath Township, Ohio man was arrested earlier this year after he called 911 requesting a police dog to help him track down some heroin that was stolen from him. In 41 years, Chief Mike Minnelli said that's the craziest thing I've ever heard in my life. Folks, stories like that happen all the time. Well, don't forget my email address is ashley.thebeercave@gmail.com. I want to thank you for listening and watching. I hope it gave you something to think about or chuckle at. So I say so long for now. I am Ashley in the Beer Cave.